You know that feeling. On election day, that feeling of doing your part. You stand in line, you cast your ballot, you walk out with that little sticker, feeling like you've made a difference. You think you're choosing your country's leader. But what if I told you the system is designed so that your vote doesn't actually matter? Now, that sounds cynical, right? It sounds crazy. But for millions of people in the United States and Canada, it's true. This isn't some conspiracy. It's just math. It's about the hidden rules that decide who really wins. Today, we're looking at two of them, the American Electoral College and the Canadian first-past-the-post system. And we're going to see how they take the power of your vote and make it disappear. Okay, let's start with the United States. The idea is supposed to be simple. One person, one vote. The person with the most votes wins. Except that's not how it works. Not for the president. In America, you don't vote directly for your president. You're actually voting for a group of people called electors. Each state gets a certain number of these electors. There are 538 in total. To become president, you need to win 270 of them. Think of it like the World Series. You don't win by scoring the most runs over the whole series. You win by winning the most games. The popular vote is the total runs. The electoral votes are the games. And here's the rule that changes everything. In 48 of the 50 states, it's winner take all. This means if a candidate wins a state by 1 million votes or by just one single vote, they get all of that state's electoral votes, every single one. So what happens to all the other votes, the ones for the losing candidate? They vanish. They count for absolutely nothing. This creates two huge problems. First, if you live in what's called a safe state, are you a Republican living in California or a Democrat in Alabama? If so, I have bad news. Your vote for president is basically symbolic. Everyone knows California will vote Democrat and Alabama will vote Republican, so your individual vote has zero chance of changing the outcome. You're a spectator in your own democracy. The second problem, the entire election is only fought in a few swing states, places like Pennsylvania, Arizona, or Wisconsin. That's where all the money is spent. It's where the candidates visit. If you live in one of those states, your vote is treated like gold. If you don't, you're an afterthought. But here's the most shocking part. The Electoral College can elect a president who actually lost the popular vote. It's happened twice in recent history. In the year 2000, Al Gore got over 500,000 more votes than George W. Bush, but Bush won the presidency. In 2016, Hillary Clinton got nearly 3 million more votes than Donald Trump, but Trump won the presidency. Think about that. The person who got more votes from the American people did not win. The system literally ignored the will of the majority. If that isn't your vote not counting, what is? Now let's head north to Canada. They have a different system, but it's just as strange. It's called first past the post. The name is simple, like a horse race. The first horse past the finish line wins. The country is divided into 338 districts called ridings. In each riding, whoever gets the most votes wins the seat in Parliament. You don't need a majority, just more votes than anyone else. The party with the most seats wins the election. Here's where it gets messy. Imagine a candidate wins a riding with just 40% of the vote. That means 60% of the people in that district voted for someone else. But all of their votes are now wasted. They count for nothing. The voices of the majority were completely silenced. When you do this across all 338 ridings, the national result gets weird. It becomes a distorted reflection of what people actually wanted. In 2019, for example, the Conservative Party actually won the popular vote. More Canadians voted for them than any other party. But they didn't win the election. The Liberal Party won more seats, so they formed the government. This system creates something called false majorities. A party can get less than 40% of the total vote, but still win over half the seats in Parliament.
This gives them 100% of the power, even though a majority of citizens voted against them. This forces people to vote strategically. You don't vote for the candidate you love, you vote against the candidate you hate. It's a vote based on fear, not hope. And millions of votes for smaller parties, like the Greens or others, end up electing nobody, which makes their supporters feel like, why even bother? So, what's the connection here? The Electoral College and the first past the post both do the same thing. They create millions and millions of wasted votes. They distort what the public actually wants, and they allow a minority to rule over the majority. And worst of all, they make people feel powerless. They create apathy. Why vote if you know your state or your riding is going to go the other way? Why show up when the math says your vote is just a drop in the ocean? It's a logical response to a broken system. The system itself is telling you that you don't matter. So, does your vote count? In these big national elections, the honest answer is often no. Not as much as it should, but here's the thing. Apathy is what keeps these broken systems going. And refusing to be apathetic is the only way to fix them. Your vote does have enormous power in other elections. Local elections, mayoral races, school boards, those are often decided by just a handful of votes. Never, ever ignore them. But for the big national elections, your vote can't be the end of the story. It has to be the beginning. The real power isn't just casting a ballot, it's demanding a better ballot. It's about supporting electoral reform. In the US, there are movements to make the popular vote decide the winner. In Canada, there's a fight for proportional representation, where the percent of votes a party gets matches the percent of seats they get. These systems aren't permanent. They are choices, and we can choose to change them. So the next time you go to vote, see it as an act of defiance, a protest against a system designed to silence you. You're saying, I'm here, I'm counted, and I demand to be heard. Because the first step to changing the game is knowing the rules. If this is a conversation you think is important, if you want to understand the systems that shape our world, then hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments, how does your country's voting system make you feel? Thanks for watching.